Yes.
Okay, great.
Do a minute before it goes live.
So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Tuesday, April 9th, 2024 Eidelweiss Board of Commissioners meeting. And before we approve the agenda, I think we need to swear in the two commissioners. Next week, if Doug is here, I'll swear him in. And I think we already voted to appoint you as the deputy.
Deputy, yes.
And then he can swear you in. So, I'll have you both repeat after me, and I'll point at you as you say your names individually. I
I, Nancy Cole.
I, Woodard McNiven,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
and sincerely swear and affirm,
and sincerely affirm
and affirm that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and
and impartially discharge
and perform all of the duties incumbent
and perform all the duties incumbent
on me as Commissioner,
on me as Commissioner,
according to the best of my abilities
according to the best of my abilities,
and to the rules and regulations
and to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this
of this Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire,
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. So I'll sign those.
We're also gonna need to get Bob Ingram sworn in.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to discuss the agenda, and I'll make a motion to approve the agenda first so we can discuss it.
Second.
Moved by me, seconded by Nancy Cole. First thing I'd like to do is set aside the minutes approval on this agenda till next week.
Okay.
And do we have any manifests this week?
We do not.
Okay. And Simply Water is not here. And the rest of it we'll go through as we get to that point in the agenda. So those modifications, all in favor of this agenda as modified, say aye.
Aye.
That's 3-0. And so, because there's no minutes to approve and no manifest, we'll go all the way to the DPW report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, storm, I guess, we'll start with that. That's the biggest thing going on. Last week we had that, and we got through it. We planned, again, a lot of planning and preparation. We put the tire chains right on thinking it was gonna be big and heavy, and thank God we did that because those trucks perform perfectly. We didn't wanna have to take the grader out with the roads being soft and no frost in them anymore, and we didn't have to do that. We were able to, every other turn, do an outside turn and keep the roads pushed back as well as we could and keep the snow off them, and I think we accomplished that very well. Trees, everybody knows about the power outages and trees being down. If people could be patient, we're gonna be picking those brush up out of the, it's out of the road for the most part. But there is a lot of cleanup, but we gotta get the truck stripped down to do that. And the 2018 right now is acting funny. So I got Alan's guy coming to take a look at that right now. We went to spin the sand out of it, and she started making some noises. It stalled out on me. The PTO's not working right now, so I can't get that sand spun out of it. So he's coming up to take a look at stuff. I was lucky to get it in the building the lot on building 2 without it falling apart on the road. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. It's throwing all kinds of lights and codes, and but we'll get that righted around. Hopefully we get the sand out of it. We could strip the sander out. We could take the wing off of it and get it down to where it needs to be to get looked at. So that's where we're with that. The road closures, you know, we all, I had to come in on Saturday and clean up after the electrical crews for getting the stuff off the wires. So I made a tour around 8:30. I did some cleaning up then, and then I come back after I knew that Bergdorf one. We had trees down with wires on Bergdorf, Gretchen, and Barden. And then the other small stuff all over the district. During the storm, Tony he get on the backhoe and he had to clean some trees out. The minute he got back in the truck, he had to go back on the backhoe, clean some trees out. The minute he got back in the truck, he had to go back out in the back. I mean, it was crazy. But like I said, we did it, we got through it, and I'm very pleased how the roads look.
Did a great job.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you. It was a battle and a long one. But unless there's any questions about the storm, I
Who
think
cleaned up the trees on Barden? I saw multiple trees down on the south end of Barden where the culvert.
where we
crosses.
replaced. Yeah, no, I did that after they got them off the wires. That was Saturday night. I came in and I grabbed the chainsaw and I made multiple cuts. And then I went back with the backhoe and I cleaned them up out of the road. And I had to kind of go up the road with them because I didn't want to throw them in front of the culvert. And same with a couple other spots. But yeah, so that was one I cleaned up Saturday. And then Bergdorf, I had to go down and clean that one up on Saturday.
Barden was a mess. I
Yeah,
think I
there
could
was
see
about
it.
6 trees all come down on
You'll
top
see-
of the wires.
You'll see 5 trees with the top parts cut off,
Yeah,
all leaning towards the road.
yeah. And again, that's when we get the truck and we could start loading that brush in the truck. We'll get to that and we'll clean that so it sticks up and bring them down to the firewood pile there, and we'll get that all cleaned up.
How about cars parked in the road?
Yeah, that was good. It was good. No, there was one time a guy had parked his truck out on the end of Grison, and I called it in, but I think before anything happened, he was out of the road. So it was only kind of a one pass problem there, but no, that was a lot better. That worked out really well.
Is that the same one Tony ran into? Because he was telling me about it.
Yeah,
Parked in the road.
yeah. I think it's a guy that's been doing a little work down that way and showed up to do some work. I had a guy same on Dees Bark showed up to do some work, and I'm doing my final cleanup. I stopped. Sat there. I could see him in at the house. He walks out. I went by him. I come back, and he's standing out there. And I says, "You understand what a road ban is, right?" And he said, "Yep." And I says, "Oh." Well, I said, if the driveway was plowed, I could have my truck in the driveway. I'm here to do some work on the house. I says, "Yeah, well, the driveway's not my problem. The road's my problem." He goes, "Well, then I guess your problem's my problem." I said, "It doesn't work that way." He goes, "Then I guess I'm not working today." And he got in his truck and he drove off, and I was able to clean up the road. So I handled that one, I guess. But no, it's like I said, power outages. We had to think outside the box. Luckily, we were smart enough during the storm to put the grader and the backhoe outside, because then the power went out and we already had them out in case we needed them. And we did need the grader to help out get one of Madison's trucks out of the, not their truck, but the
Rescue vehicles.
rescue truck out of a bank. There was an accident in the district, so that
That
helped
was on
out.
Aspen.
Yes.
Now, is that on the part of Aspen that goes uphill from Appinville Way, the east end, or the
The
west?
accident was.
The
The rescue truck was down the back part of Aspen. They were coming up the other way.
west end that goes down towards
Gretchen.
Aspen,
Yeah.
Aspen.
that side.
Yeah, they
That's
were
even
on that
steep.
side. They were coming up that way. Not sure why, but
Yeah, that's not the way.
right. And the Mike can come up the other way, and then the backup truck was coming up the back way, and he didn't make it. But we got him out of the
And
bank.
the tow truck came and the winch broke on the
The
tow
winch
truck?
broke on the tow truck, yeah.
Oh my.
All those things that happen, and you know, every storm has its set of challenges, and they're all different in their own way, just
So,
like every
What kind of vehicle
snowflake.
was it that needed to be winched?
What's that?
Was it a large vehicle that needed to be?
Yeah, see, I thought I could go down there, maybe tug it out with the Dodge. When I went down to check it out, I said, I'm not tugging that out with my rig.
Was it a big like Suburban or something like one of those kind of vehicles?
It was the big, like the box truck there or something. Yeah, one
Oh,
of
it
the
was a
rescue.
box truck.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yes.
it was.
Yeah.
It was a bigger truck there,
So Tony got the grader and pulled
and pulled them up.
out with the grader.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that
Gotta keep
worked
those
out.
rescue vehicles on the road, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So that worked out really good. Yeah. So that aside, so the truck, I
Buying
did.
diesel,
What's that?
buying diesel.
Diesel, yep. Again, with
Power.
no power, we can't buy, you know. Now, when I first started, we had a thing where we could go to the state shed. We had them little fobs. I still have the fobs. I only went once or twice way back in the day. I haven't been over there in years, and I don't even know if we still can do that, if the fobs even work anymore. I have no idea how that is set up anymore. So I don't know if that's something we could check into.
I'm unfamiliar with this. What's the state shed?
The state shed's on 153 where the state comes out of. Now, I don't know what
Okay.
kind of agreement we had with it, but we were able to go over there, and they've got their own fuel set up over there. It's just like going to the gas station almost.
It's lower cost for them because they
Right.
don't have to pay state taxes to purchase it. And
Okay.
they might even get a break in federal taxes, I don't know, but it's lower cost. The only thing is, we have to drive to it,
Right.
particularly during storms,
Right.
to go and do it, which is why we have our own fuel that we pay a little more for, but they can go right to the garage and
Right.
refill
But there
it.
was an issue there, which I'll talk about.
So we had this agreement where we bought the fuel from the state. The fob device identified our truck as the one getting fuel, and the state billed us for the fuel we paid them.
Right.
I think that's definitely worth looking into.
Resurrecting.
Getting back.
Right. So that
Yeah.
used to be a system that we had in place. Whether that just fell aside, again, I have no idea. But so that at that point wasn't an option. So I went down to Beep Beep, and we brought both trucks and we fueled up. I mean, there was no way I was going to get through it if I didn't.
Yeah.
So you have receipts?
I have 2 receipts here. I'll
Right.
get those to Jen.
I tried to call you yesterday. We were trying to see if we could take care of it. and
Yeah,
check for you.
yeah, not, you know, again, I wasn't, I knew I'd get it back, so I wasn't that, but, yeah, so I had
Thanks
to
for
deal
doing
with
that.
that.
I called him to invite him to the Eclipse and said, "Oh, and what about the receipts?" "Ah, don't worry, we'll take about it."
Right,
"Ah,
right.
We would have checks for you today, but
That's okay. I get them whenever I get them. So yeah, that was, again, a challenge we had to kind of get, and when we showed up, so the storm started Wednesday night into Thursday, so was it Friday morning when we showed up? You know, when you're doing that, I forget. I think it's Friday morning. Power was out again.
Yeah.
Well, in a lot of places, the power came on briefly for 2 hours.
Right,
Thursday
Thursday night.
and then it went out again and was still out. I didn't get my power back on until Friday morning around 9. But Nancy, you didn't have
Yeah.
her power
I
back
didn't get
until
power
Saturday.
until Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Right. So it was early. You know, again, I wanted to get things cleaned up before Friday, like first light. So I came in at 3. Tony was going to come in at 4, and I get there at 3. There's no power. Well, we had put the trucks away.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the trucks out.
Yeah.
Now, you know, the garage doors are set up, electric garage, where you pull the string, and then they should go up manually. And that's how I got into building 2. But the doors, I remember when, well, see, I don't remember when they installed the electric openers on those doors because they were always there. We got the buttons when I was there, but something about those doors, it wouldn't go up. It was hitting something there, where it pulls it back. So they wouldn't go up that way. And I believe that's why, well, whatever, we won't go there. But so Tony ended up, I called him up, and we went back to his house and grabbed the small generator that he has, and we were able to get the doors opened.
So that's what I wanted to bring up because I tried calling you Friday morning and couldn't get through to you. which turns out it's a phone problem. So this
Right.
issue we have to talk about later about getting Jeff a new phone. So I called Tony, got through to him fine. He told me about that issue.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to get into it, but it is a legacy issue. So, from me to you guys, not only are you doing the job we expect you to do superbly, you've gone above and beyond the call of duty to make it all happen, and we very much appreciate that.
Well, thank
That
you.
going back and fetching, Tony's generator so you could access the buildings to get to your equipment, that shouldn't be happening.
Right.
We should have had the equipment to make that happen, but that's a legacy issue.
Right. So, so we made it happen, and we survived it. But yeah, I'll have to look into that with the garage doors, as I don't know why. Like I say, they're made for that to happen, and it should have opened, but it wasn't. And I remember something about the clearance and this and that. But if they need to be adjusted so that would happen, I mean, that's what needs to be done. If the tracks need to be reset or something, again, I don't know. But so those were things we battled up, besides the storm itself. But I called Dale over at Chadwick and Bay Ross yesterday about the grader, and when he put together that package. Do we have that? Because that needs to be signed and sent back to them before they can move forward on taking the grader in. There was some, the estimates and stuff like that.
I can look for that.
Okay, because I never saw it, and I think it was something maybe Caitlin had or something like that. So we got to get that signed, sent back to them, whether we could email it to them signed or however it gets,
So they sent that to us before we had the whole email problems? I'm assuming they originally sent it.
Yes,
to
that got sent
The
back.
previous board approved it, and
Oh.
that should have been sent back, and I'll see.
Okay, so we just need to locate the paperwork.
Right. Again, I don't know who it had gotten emailed to initially.
Right.
And all that. So that's something we got to get going, because I was hoping to set it up where, because again, he's got to order parts and things like that, and there's no sense getting the machine there till he gets the parts on hand, so the machine's not sitting there wasting time, and they make their arrangements for having the machine there. So I was hoping to get the ball rolling on that, but again, without those papers signed, that's number one. So we should get that as soon as possible. Because who knows how long that's gonna take, and snow's gonna be gone before we know it, and we wanna get going on getting these roads graded. So that's that, and then, when we were out at the dam pulling the board, we talked about getting a clamp, something that we could mark that water level.
Yep.
So we did that, we didn't put it out there, but I got the clamp, and, when we put the board back in, we'll put the clamp out there on the
Super.
railing.
And I firmly believe we made the right decision pulling that additional board last week. I went back and looked at my pictures and measurements from prior to the March 23rd storm, that big one.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have the annual meeting that day, didn't happen because we had that huge snowstorm, and the water levels at the dam, the stick was a couple inches lower before that storm happened. Then the storm happened and it went up.
Right.
And then it finally came down again to the point where we measured it last week, and it was right at the emergency level of the new ordinance of 7 inches.
Right.
So we absolutely did the right thing. I'll keep monitoring it, but the boards have to go back in day after tomorrow? The
Well,
10th, right?
The 10th, which I was gonna say
is
something
tomorrow.
on that note. I mean, you got rain coming tomorrow night, you got rain Thursday and Friday. Maybe up to 1.5 to 2 inches all total. I mean, I don't know,
And snow-
with the melt off and
snow
everything
melt.
else.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it might be wise to leave it out beyond that date. I mean, in my opinion, water running over that on the top like that, I don't believe the dam was made that way. So
Yesterday, it was only just a little bit above the riser,
right,
okay? So it's well below that 7-inch mark, but, maybe you're right.
that'd be a suggestion by me. I mean, I know my opinion.
Are they talking
is
about
my
major
opinion,
rains
but-
coming in? I know this is something we're always gonna have to now, with this new ordinance, keep an eye on.
Right, just because of the melt off, you had 18 inches of snow, or whatever it is we got. I don't know if the official count, but it was pretty high. and rain coming, it's gonna melt more. It's all coming somewhere.
Yeah, it's basically 2 days of rain.
Right, yeah.
On and off, but no one's talking about inches in any of these. And so here's the deal. The majority of people in this room may feel that the dam wasn't designed to do what the ordinance says it has to do. We have to put that aside
I know.
and prove that case someday. So we have to deal with the ordinance the way that it was written.
Right.
What you're pointing out is, I believe the ordinance, I haven't memorized that ordinance, so you can correct me.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
And it has to be, for a decision to be made, it has to be at the 7 inches over the top of the concrete, which it was when you made the motion, I believe. to
Yes, it
pull
was
the board
right at
out.
7 last week. We decided to,
Be preventative.
right. And that helped because we're well below that mark right now.
It looked threatening to me to the road. It was so high at the time that the board was pulled out. And I was surprised by how fast the water did draw down with that board going out.
But we had 2 boards out, that's why.
Well,
Yeah.
we pulled one additional board out, right?
Right, but when I was quoting
There was already one out
the
that winter.
March 23rd, when it went up, we only had 1 board out. We had the 5-inch board out at that point.
That's what we pulled, was the
So I
small board,
believe
the
that what we
cap
have to
board.
do is put the board back in on the 10th.
I think so too.
And
I'll
it has
just
to go
continue
back to
measuring.
7 inches
Yeah.
for us to pull the board back out again. Sorry that,
Yeah, no, I'll do
You
whatever
can't
you
see
want.
it.
Like I said, I would suggest you leave it out until after this rain, but if it says to put it in, I'll put it in, you know, I mean, again.
Are there currently 2 boards pulled at this time?
yes.
Yes, a 5-inch and an 11-inch board have been pulled.
Okay.
So by yesterday by the measuring stick, and then I'll try and cross-correlate that to the 7 inches. It was, the water level yesterday was about, and remember we're in tenths between so 3 foot. I can see the water level between the 1 increment and the 2 increment. So 3.15 maybe. And if I go last week, it looks like, where's that one we took last week with the measuring stick? I think we'll be okay.
By the way, I found the Chadwick Bayross quotes.
Okay. Yeah, so if those get signed and sent down to him, that'd be great.
You took a ton of pictures yesterday, so that's probably why. You're
No, I didn't
scrolling,
take that
scrolling.
many pictures
Oh.
yesterday. I took a lot of pictures when I walked around on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. No, we did that a week ago, right, Tony? We did the with
Yeah,
the
Jeff.
stick.
We pulled
Jeff,
that out
excuse me.
last
Yeah, 1
Wednesday, I
week,
believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what issue are you trying to
So
resolve?
I'm going to say when last week, this time, it was right at the 7 inches above the riser,
Right.
which correlates roughly to, on the stick, a skosh above 3.5. And so yesterday we were about 3.15.
I was gonna say, it looks like it's actually a little lower right now.
It is a little lower.
Right.
It is a little lower. So I'm okay putting the boards back in.
You have to.
Yeah, we have to. But we'll,
It's got all day today. There's going to be a melt today, but it's got all day today to have the board stay out.
right. But if with the melt off and the rain, it gradually, not even gradually, if it quickly gets up to the 7 inch or beyond, we got to pull again.
Yeah.
And it could be just one board. We'll do the trick. We don't need to do both boards all the time. Let's see what happens.
So am I putting in the 11, the full-size board? Or am I
Tomorrow,
putting the
both
cap
boards
board?
have to go in. All the boards have to go in on the
Both
10th.
boards are going in
Yes.
tomorrow.
According to the new ordinance, all the boards need to be in. But if we see the water levels if they're above 7, we can pull again until it gets down to 7. And if there's a big storm coming, we go preventative to bring it below that emergency level.
Is Tony in tomorrow for you to not be out there
Yes.
by yourself?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And like I
So it's
said,
not that, we're not disagreeing with your logic.
right? No, I understand.
No, no.
I get it.
And yeah, getting that clamp on with it's gonna be painted red, so it's.
Well, it's a stainless steel clamp, so I don't know. I think the paint's just gonna wear right off it.
Okay,
So
as long as it's visible.
Right,
totally
it's a
visible.
stainless steel like hose clamp that we're gonna put right on the bar, right where that 7 inches.
Okay,
is. The
perfect.
bottom of the clamp will be the 7 inches.
That'll make
is the
it
way
easier
we're
than
thinking.
me trying to constantly cross-correlate it with the measuring stick, although.
Yeah, so it'll be on that side of the,
The measuring
dam,
stick is very useful.
and we'll crank that on there tomorrow. But yeah, so that's all I've got. Like I said, the brush on the side of the roads. If I know some of it's in front of some people's houses or something like that, we're gonna get to it all. We're gonna clean it all up and within time, and that's about what I got.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for everything. It was quite an exciting week last week, and not always a good exciting way, and.
We need a little less excitement.
Yeah. So I think some regular old fashioned excitement will be better than these storms at this point.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going, in that direction, because I think Mother Nature might be done with it.
Well, let's just hope we don't get those heavy rains that we had last year. It's just
Well, I'm
sort of
sure
like-
we'll get some rain.
We will
April
get some rain.
showers.
We don't want the heavy. We want that. We just want the
Right.
heavy rains.
Yeah. But all right.
kinds
Thank
that-
you.
Thank you.
Kinds that take out whole roads. No more of that.
Damn boots. I get rid of these winter boots. Have a good day.
You too. Administration report, do you have anything you'd like to talk about? No? Okay. Old business tabled items. I think in the category of old business, we should see where we are with getting checks printed for Northway Bank. We got the account number, did we actually get a hold of the lady that prints the checks for us? Not yet?
Unknown. We'll have to check.
We'll have to check, did we contact her, or we didn't get a chance to?
I have not contacted
Okay,
Francine, so,
We'll try to get that done this week?
yeah.
Perfect. I got a call from the attorney at Divine and Millimet regarding the work she's doing to review for the TAN note approval from Northway Bank. And I explained to her that we're dealing with these computer issues on an ongoing basis because of the breach, and she needs things like a cash flow report for the beginning of this year, which I was unfamiliar with this work being done by an attorney every year we go for a TAN note, but Dinah says we've been doing it.
We didn't
Okay.
need all that stuff last year, though.
We didn't do it.
The lawyer rendered the opinion, however, he didn't require all this other stuff,
Ah. Huh.
as far as I recall. So we'll get it straightened out. I talked to the municipal lender yesterday too,
At the bank.
at the bank. And,
After we talked?
no, before we talked.
Okay.
So I'll touch base with her and see how she's doing with all of this. Is there any way you can print out that email so I can see what they're asking for?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, one way or another, we can get it printed out. We have the email, we have printers. Morta's been doing a lot of printer. I think we should purchase a
Just a ream of paper, don't worry about it. It's-
water paper and some ink for all the printing he's doing for us.
I haven't done that much, but I'll gladly keep doing whatever needs to be
Yeah,
done.
but see, we're not done with you yet. so-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's sort of a heads up.
Yeah, we'll get you a copy of that. So the attorney mentioned to me that her experience with these cyber breaches and identity theft is they go on forever. And I said, oh, great.
Well, I think that means if we solve our initial issues, then we've got to take extraordinary measures going forward to the best of our abilities to prevent this ever happening again.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's no guarantees, but these guys are clever out there. But I tend to get the feeling that, and again, I'm going to put this under legacy stuff. The security procedures are pretty lax. we now need to be more vigilant than ever, whatever that takes.
Any other old business?
Well,
Items?
if they're looking for, something from the beginning of this year, the budgets aren't in QuickBooks yet. So in order to produce something that shows January or the first quarter, we're gonna have to get some work done in QuickBooks before we can produce those. And they need to get produced for the public record anyway, and for the commissioners to review. But yeah, that's gonna be a QuickBooks thing that we need to get that online first, get that online. And we had it online, but now we've lost it again. And so we'll, that'll be a kind of on the priority side to try to get access.
And also yesterday, after the sun came back out, Nancy made me aware of an issue which, again, I'm going to put under the heading of legacy issues, which may skew the cash flow report once QuickBooks is back up. The fact that certain vendors were just being paid automatically. In other words, it was just a withdrawal from our bank accounts, which I don't know if that got, maybe did that somehow get over to the QuickBooks systems when Caitlin and the prior administrators were all there?
Would have had to for them to balance the books.
Well,
Yeah,
you'd think so.
That's something we're gonna have to look at.
Right,
And
but we were
we'll-
talking about, instead of an automatic withdrawal, like an old-fashioned bill, we pay it, but okay, they want to be paid using modern day,
Technology.
but there's a big difference between a credit card and a debit card, all right? Debit card, that is a draw from your bank account. A credit card is, you pay the credit card bill. They get paid, but we have control of payment of that bill as a credit card.
There's better recourse with the.
What's that?
There's better recourse with the credit card.
That's the way I would like to
Right.
go. As
So-
opposed to, debit cards make me, personally, I don't use a debit card at all. I mean, because if something happens, that somebody hacks your credit card, you're not held liable for those expenses incurred on it. And then they'll fix it, or if even necessary, they'll issue a brand new credit card.
But the whole point is you haven't paid for it yet, so they have skin in the game to find that and correct it with a credit card.
Right.
Right.
But the legitimate vendors, they're paid. They're paid. There won't be an issue with them. But the point is, we control the actual payment of the credit card, and it just it's not an automatic draw from our account. And if that isn't linking to our QuickBooks system, then I'm just saying our cash flow is going to be all off.
We, say something that flew out of my mind, I'm sorry. We don't have a credit card, that's what I was just saying.
Okay, well, yeah, I understand that. I obviously, when there was issues with refueling the trucks, I went to the office and found out, hey, we got power. And then I pulled the debit card and had it on me in case Jeff needed it to refuel the trucks. He didn't, but then Mark needed it the next day. But the point is, I'm looking at debit, and it's like, why are we using a debit? This seems a little bit insecure to me. And then Nancy brought up this issue to me yesterday after the eclipse. I was like, okay.
So, to make it official, I think I would like to see a motion, or I'll make a motion, that we apply for a credit card through Bank of New Hampshire.
I will second that. Discussion, I guess, now?
So capture the motion. So you're making a motion that we apply for a credit card
Yes,
through a MasterCard through Bank of New Hampshire.
yes,
The debit card is a MasterCard.
And I'm just gonna say, those vendors that require an electronic payment via a card of some sort
All set?
be put on the credit card, and we'll get a monthly bill, and we can review it. We can, tangible piece of paper, or we can watch it online too, and then we control the payment to that.
right, and I would think that the QuickBooks part was happening prior. I'm just not sure if there was, and I'm gonna have to look through the end of last year as well as the first part of this year to find some of those payments that, you know, like call centrics and some of the things that were automatically set up, we can look through and see where the commission is seeing those. I think they were going into QuickBooks so that they would be in the profit and loss and that type of stuff, and in the proper categories. I just don't know if there was anything that was being signed by the commissioners authorizing those charges on a regular basis. I don't know what process they were using, and I don't believe Mark was familiar with anything from last year that the commissioners were signing that specifically was talking about
I'm gonna say,
regular
they took-
charges like that.
I think they took a hands-off and left it up to the administrator, so
Well,
it's probably
We have a
right.
motion on the floor, we should focus on the
Okay.
motion of
Right.
whether we approve the credit card
Okay.
application. And you're well into my commissioner's report.
It's okay, we've already hit mine too.
Okay, all right, well, just saying, I don't wanna assume anything, I think you're right, but I don't wanna assume anything.
So the motion is to apply for a credit card versus a debit card with Bank of New Hampshire.
Yes.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
3-0 to apply for a credit card. So we'll close out the discussion on any old business or tabled items. We had no table items. Any other old business? This kind of new business by applying for a credit card, but we have no signature items. So let's go to commissioners' reports at 9:37. I should have been telling you when the time we went to old business. I'll look that up.
I put it down.
Oh, great. Very good. So I'll lead off and continue the discussion. The thing that happened in the last week is it became clear how a cyber attack has rippling effects that make these things go on for longer than you think. And this whole discussion of the debit card is current on your minds because within the last week we discovered several things that were being paid automatically by a debit card because of the design of the vendor requires it, such as the phone system that we had. When things start to go bad and they're all internet related, you can let your mind think this is all part of the cyber attack. Well, what we discovered was the phone system going dead wasn't because of the cyber attack directly, but it was the fact that the cyber attack involved our bank, and because it involved our bank, we had to change the account numbers for the bank.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you change the account numbers for the bank, the debit card that they issued you that's associated with that bank account number that is no longer, because you just changed it for security reasons, is no longer any good. If you don't know how many different accounts will automatically being paid by the debit card, you find out when they start shutting things off for non-payment. And one of them was our phone system. Now, to show you how that makes it worse, is when you are trying to fix software, reinstall software, or even log into Microsoft on a business account, Microsoft automatically calls you. An automated voice message gets sent to you telling you to hit the pound button if you really are trying to log into your account, proving to Microsoft you're at where this phone number says you're at, and you are logging in, so you hit the pound. So you can't even log in to do any software installation or log into the system for the day if the phone system doesn't work. So we found out that the voice over IP internet-based phone system that we had was being paid by the debit card. The debit card was no longer any good on their account. They saw that and said non-payment, and we're shutting the phone system off. So over the weekend, I worked with our volunteer IT guy in Cambridge, Massachusetts, here and there, and we got the card. He got the phone company to turn the system back on because he used his PayPal account. And then I was able to get in there and use the new debit card that you passed back to me over the weekend to get it off his PayPal account and get it onto the new debit card. There are other things that we have to fix, like the kayak registration system that this guy in Cambridge wrote and based it on Google, a Google virtual machine. He wrote an application that lives on Google. I didn't know we paid Google a monthly bill to have the Google Cloud available for this application that's running over on Google and is embedded into our website. And April 15th is when people start signing up for canoe racks. And it's not like the most important thing that the Board of Commissioners have to pay attention to, but it's very popular with the resident homeowners who put their boats in the rack. They love signing up for the boat rack and having a space dedicated to them. So it's going to be an issue if that doesn't work on April 15th. Another thing that went bad is the website. The website went down because, let's see, that was related to the debit card also. That's Bluehost.
Bluehost, yeah.
The hosting company for our website was getting paid themselves automatically through the debit card, and when the old debit card went away, they shut off the website. So you would first think, oh, the bad guys are now attacking our website. No, they attacked the bank. We closed the bank account, we closed the debit card, and now the website doesn't work.
It was a ripple effect.
So what this did is showed us everywhere that we didn't know that the debit card wasn't being used.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the monthly reports, in the weekly reports, from the time I started back as a board member in last March through February, when this new board took over, I never saw anything that we were approving payments to Google or Bluehost, because it was all done through the debit cards. The commissioners weren't approving these
Right.
monthly bills.
Totally
Right.
hands off.
And in a discussion with Dinah, she was saying the only way that we would know what was being charged against the debit card was to look at the debit card statement.
The bank statements, yeah.
Yeah. Which the commissioners don't see
Right.
as normal course of business. So we're seeing what we think are all the bills being paid, but we're not seeing the bank statements of everything that's being paid through the debit card.
Or if they're being reconciled properly.
Right.
Right.
So I don't even know if we know everything that was being paid through the debit card.
I'm sure we're gonna find some more stuff.
So we probably should dig out a bank statement and look at an old bank statement and see what that bank statement says, a couple of them, to see what was being charged against the debit card.
Yeah.
Because it's painful to find out the hard way what's being charged against it.
Yes.
So that's the bank statement. We discussed the Northway checks, we're gonna look into that, and I was gonna raise the issue of what we're doing with the dam if that didn't come up with Jeff, and it already came up.
Yep.
So, we had voted a month ago that if we needed to, we would hire a company to pursue the systems problem when we first learned of the breach. And we got into a mode where our IT volunteer in Cambridge that works for Google was helping us as he could, because he works full-time. And he wasn't available for a few weeks, and he became available again this weekend. He's now on a business trip to Las Vegas, so he's not available. And as much as he wants to help us, I think we're back to our original decision to hire a local firm or a firm of some type that can do this, work on this full-time and become knowledgeable about our system. So I don't think we need another motion because we already voted that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving you the heads up that I might call some firms this week and get them going against our original vote.
Okay.
Good.
I was
We
gonna
have to
say,
move on
I'd
this.
find out
Yes.
who Madison uses, not that we have to go with them, but just,
Well,
why reinvent the wheel?
the
if there's
first
some
firm
good-
I want to call is a firm that Jennifer's familiar with, and I know that Madison used them starting a few years ago, and I believe they still maintain the systems here. So
Good.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Good.
I think we're absolutely at that point.
Yep.
Because,
I'm at that point.
yes,
Yeah.
we're at that point, we understand that, but, you know, this is going so slowly, but you
And
know why.
as much as the guy in Cambridge wants to help us, I think I had him see it from our perspective is that it just doesn't work to have a volunteer that's remote like this. Nor does it work to have one of the commissioners be the person that's doing it either.
Right,
So,
I fully concur.
which I said to you guys when this first started, but somehow I walked right into it anyway. I'm looking to walk out of it. So that's my report.
Okay, I'm just gonna bring this up. This really isn't the place or time to go into depth, but since Nancy and I were appointed as commissioners, and then back in early February, I think it was, we have been hit with one crisis after another. It's been a nonstop series of crises. And then I've noticed in the last, I'm gonna say 2 weeks, we have been bombarded with a flood of requests from various cognizant New Hampshire agencies regarding our water system. Whether it's chemical testing, whether it's are there any lead pipes in the system, and I think there's a few others. I've got so many emails, I have not even poured through them yet. So I know I've put out before that I'm a big proponent. I would love to see us reconstitute the water committee to act as an advisory to the Board of Commissioners, of which one of us would be a liaison, and I'm raising my hand. I'd be happy to be the liaison on that committee, as I was on that committee long before I was a commissioner or even a village clerk. Again, to help us, sort through all this stuff, as well as the long-term capital improvements we're looking at. But as an advisory of which people we respect and trust. As we all know, the last board basically just dismissed the water committee. Despite very good recommendations, that's why everybody resigned. It was useless to bang your head against the wall if you weren't going to be listened to. But I'm looking at it as an extra set of eyes. People with outside expertise and skill sets, because we can't do it all on our own. And so I'm just bringing that up. It doesn't need to be a discussion right now. That's just my position. And I think a lot of these requests coming from the various state agencies are things that need to be addressed in relatively short order, because some of them are already past due. We've told them about our issues with the breach and everything, and they're understanding, but how long are they going to be patient before they come knocking on our door in person? So I'm just putting that out there. That's my thought. The other thing was, yesterday at the Eclipse, I was walking toward Presidential View Drive, and I spotted a young man, and I said, I know that guy. Where have I met him before? And then all of a sudden it hit me. He was sitting next to me at the Madison annual meeting in 2023, and I didn't remember his first name, but I did remember his last name. So we started talking, and I think he's very representative of a lot of residents, and he's a full-time resident here in VDOE, that they want to know what's going on, even if they can't get actively involved in EPOA or any sort of advisory committee we set up or anything. They want to know what's going on so they can make informed decisions in the future. He said he didn't even know that we had the annual meeting on the 30th. Now, obviously, it takes a little bit of motivation on a resident's part. You got to look at all the different sources where information is put out. You just have to do that. But the flip side of the coin is, going forward, I'd really like to take a look at how we handle our PR, using every communication source possible that exists today. What new ones can we create? How often do we reach out? I'd really like to see us getting more engaged with the community, so they become engaged with us, and they know what's going on. So we'll get more people showing up at the annual meeting. We'll get more people showing up here, voicing their concerns, and trying to make them understand that we want to work with our constituents in a basically a collaborative manner. And also just let them know what we're doing, because we've already committed that we're going to be 100% transparent in what we're doing. But I think basically we have to take that first step to reach out aggressively, and if we do, then maybe we'll suck more people in who want to know what's going on, but haven't because they don't really know how, or maybe they do, but they haven't been motivated. But if we're pinging them more often, then they will get motivated. So that's my 2 cents for right now.
We could do that. We have the broadcast mail system that the office uses from time to time. That could become a regular newsletter. As you say, there's the EPOA does
Right.
newsletters,
Mhm.
and yeah, I don't have any objections to getting into using MailChimp as the system we use.
Mhm.
I don't know if we'll want to write one this month.
No, we got some flames still to put out.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but when things start normalizing, if we could come up with a system, and at some point I've met a lot of people, and sooner or later I'm just gonna knock on their door and just say, hey, remember me, and just start talking, just to get the pulse. That's all.
So
Mm-hmm.
we right along the same line of what Wood had just said. I also had written down that not this month, because we're certainly not in a position right now to do it, but that I would like to see the commissioner's newsletter, monthly newsletter, reinstated.
Here, here.
It's been years since it's been done, but for those people that remember, they were very useful. And they did give a lot of information as far as what's going on and what people should be aware of, from the commissioner's side. So I would like to see that.
I fully agree. Oh, I forgot to mention that there was one individual on one of the Facebook sites was griping because he got his water bill. Said, "Man, this is really going up." And a lot of people did come back and said, "No, it hasn't. It's the same as last year." And he would go, "What? No, it hasn't. Check your paperwork." But again, that's sort of if we had consistent and regular communication, he wouldn't have been surprised by that, because he completely forgot what his water bill was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had told him, if we had a newsletter out saying, hey, your water bill's gonna be this, and guess what? It's not even $1. We were thinking about $1 greater than last year, but it's not even that. It's the same as last year.
Also, commissioners' reports. So we have no correspondence. At 9:55, we'll see if there's any public comments.
I'm the public.
You're the
You got
public.
the public, Dana.
As you were discussing this, and last week Nancy said something about Mark's water system presentation. It was very good. It's the only time I learned about it and understand it. Maybe he could do that at the EPOA meeting.
What she's talking about was
That would be good.
Warrant article?
in the 80s.
Oh.
In the 80s, David Maudsley put together a slide presentation that explained the water system, starting with 2 sources and following the distribution system to each of the pump houses and each of the tank storage facilities. And it showed the elevations. It was a 3-dimensional drawing of Oak Hill and Rhineack as a foothill of Colby Hill and Emerson Mountain. And people had not heard an explanation of how this works and why it's such a sophisticated system, because of the water we're sending to the various elevations and what are the dynamics of it. So
That'd be a great presentation to educate people on how our water system works. And also, at some point in the future, the water fees are going to have to go up to help support future expansion. But if people realize that future expansion is to accommodate new houses being built, well, guess what? New houses being built is going to broaden the tax base. So I don't know how that all levels
Well,
out.
let me tell you this one.
That would have to be an
Doesn't have the effect you,
analysis.
doesn't have the effect you think.
Maybe a selling point.
Well, let me tell you a short story in that one.
Yeah,
I was on the Madison Planning Board many years ago, and the state of New Hampshire has a planning division. I forget what bureau it works for, but they invited us to this dinner in North Conway at the Red Jacket. And a gentleman named Bruce Brooks, who was a selectman several times for the town of Madison and was on the volunteer fire department for years,
Related to Mike?
his father.
Okay.
He passed away a few years ago. He and I went to the dinner. And part of the presentation was the myth of broadening the tax base by having more development. And the myth is that with more people paying taxes, the tax rate should go down because there's more people contributing it, it's divided amongst them all. And they say that never happens. As the development goes up, the demand for services rises in proportionate to the number of people you're adding to the tax rolls. And I haven't seen anywhere that hasn't been proven, including Eidelweiss and Madison. And there's a couple of funny stories that were told at this round table as Bruce and I sat with a couple of other towns, specifically Albany, that I'd like to tell someday. Because if I could just capture the look on Bruce Brooks's face after he listened to these people talk in answer to a question he asked them, and he turned around to looked at me with this face like, I'm glad you're here as a witness to have heard this answer he just got. But that's for another day.
Okay.
So that made me cringe every time I heard somebody say, but if we expand the tax base, it's better for everybody. And it's like, even the state of New Hampshire is saying to planning boards, don't believe that. And I left there not believing that.
Okay. I've heard that too before, but you know, it's
Now, one thing that Eidelweiss does is collects a $10,000 water hookup fee. And that has risen over the years. It used to be 6, it changed to 8, it went to 10. It seems to go up in $2,000 increments every few years. From that $10,000, we pay a contractor. We used to do the water hookups ourselves with our DPW, when the DPW was also the licensed water operator for our water system. But now we pay contractors to do it. That could change in the future, but the cost of having a contractor do it has risen dramatically.
yes.
There was a number that was established as the actual cost when the village, towards the end of when the village was doing it, which was $800 per water hookup. I believe now we're paying $2,700 on average last year to a contractor, of various contractors to do it. So if we use the number 3,000, 3,000 goes towards physically connecting that new house to the water system. $7,000 goes into a capital reserve as their contribution to the water system development. And that's usually a pretty sizable amount of money in that account. I don't know if we've used it properly over the years as different boards have come and gone, but that's what that is for.
Mm-hmm.
So at any time we can look to see what the actual numbers look like to us, but that's one way of revenue for future expansion of the system. I would think that we'll be looking at that account to finance the Como zone after we design and engineer and have bid packages for it. So yes, the water bill contributes towards it.
Yeah.
But as you saw, we just saw that we paid for the budget and barely squeaked out $25,000 to pay for the warrant article that
Right.
they just approved. So we know that the water bill raises this year $25,000 more than the actual budgeted expenditures, not even emergencies.
Right.
So,
Okay. Well, again, we were talking about, reaching out to our constituents and educating about all this stuff. When I was on the water committee, what I learned was the average water fee for those communities with their own water systems was about $600 a year. And that was even before Eidelweiss raised, I think it used to be $450, and we went up to
Yeah.
$550.
Mhm.
So who knows, next year we may, I hope it's not that big a raise next year, but we may need to raise by $25 or $50 next year to support ongoing operations and future improvements and repairs.
So we were doing public comments, and let me just recap what just happened so I get it straight. Dinah raised the issue of how good it would be to communicate how the water system works.
Yes.
I think she slid in there that I should do it at the EPA meeting. And then it seemed like there was general agreement that I didn't realize was happening. Am I now stuck with having to do a presentation at the EPA even though they didn't invite me?
Well,
Well,
I think the agreement is it would be a good idea of something of that sort.
Okay, so it's unanimous now, huh?
Well, because of your longevity in living here and having been actively involved in major capital improvements in the water system in the past, I think you are the logical individual to give the presentation, but that's not to say the entire work of putting the presentation together should fall on your shoulders. I mean, if you need PowerPoint help,
That's what I was getting at, is that to do it the way that we did it in the 80s, we had a screen up, and
yeah.
you need a visual to have people really understand. I can wave my arms around about how high
No,
Oak Ridge Road is.
that I think between, I'd be more than happy to help with that. I know Carrie's really good at PowerPoint. There are other people and some of the old water, like Doug and maybe Larry Soldano and all, we'd all be willing to help you put that together. But when it comes to addressing an audience, you're the guy with the biggest history here.
And you're the explainer in chief.
Well, what I wanted to point out is, this may be the first time in a long time that 3 commissioners actually went to the EPA annual meeting. They used to go every year, and I bet it's been 5?
5 years. Since
I bet it's closer to 15.
Well, yeah, all 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it might be nice, I mean, you kind of come in, it's a social thing before the meeting gets up. I have a vision of that map being up on the screen, and people can actually go and see where their house is,
Mm-hmm.
and see what affects their water system. And, I mean, I bet the Como Zone people have no idea their water comes from Oak Ridge.
Many of them do not.
So, I mean, I'm not saying they have to become experts, but if in generally you understand how things flow
Right.
and go, and what your little piece of it is, it would be a good idea.
No, I think it's an excellent idea. And when the storm hit and we lost power, I was just trying to get out through whatever communication methods that was available to me. Was please conserve water. Please conserve water. Don't people with generators, don't run your laundry. Don't run the dishwasher.
Your suggestion about group showers I found really.
Well, I said take a Navy shower. Don't take a lot of people like to. I'm guilty. I love taking at least a 10-minute shower.
I was going to respond and say, if you shower in groups of 12, that helps also.
Oh, I never said anything about a group shower. I said a Navy shower. Wet down, turn the water off, soap yourself down, and then another couple seconds rinsing yourself off. When I was in the Navy, literally, when we were on water ration hours, basically you were expected to be in and out of there in a minute. That's it. So it's doable. You get clean. It's not the greatest, but when you're in an emergency situation, come on,
So, any other public comments?
The tan loan's being redone. However it's gonna work out, we'll have that maybe next week to sign, so at least that'll be on the books and ready to use. I don't think we'll need it for a while, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to write a memo to Northway about our new checking account that they've set up, but they need a letter of authorization as to why we're opening it, and I can do that.
Okay.
Maybe with a little help of Jennifer typing, we can do that. But it shouldn't, just a paragraph or something.
And that's strictly for new water system hookups.
No, this is the account that we changed the account
Oh, the one we changed
Right.
for
Right.
handling all water system, the fee.
I could start that one too, I guess, that would be a good idea. We're gonna get that $10,000 check back, so.
Right, because we
Right.
made a motion on that, right? That we
Yep.
were gonna open up a new account strictly for water hookup.
Deposits.
Deposits.
Yep.
Well, that's it.
We have, that $10,000 check came in with an application, it was made, the check was not made out correctly.
Right.
I contacted the guy and he said he'd send a new check, and we shredded the bad check with his approval to do that. It's been a few weeks, and we haven't seen anything. I'm
Well-
thinking we probably should mail his application back to him and say, you shouldn't consider this an application yet because you need to have the $10,000 check attached to it, and you're not doing that, so. Otherwise, he'll forget about it and say, where's my hookup?
Yeah.
And we'll say, don't you remember you were supposed to? Blah, blah, blah."
Right.
Anything else? So I'll make a motion that.
Oh, wait a minute, one other thing. On the agenda, item number 14, these dates are wrong, so do we need to put out what the actual date
This
is
is,
gonna be?
this is from an old agenda.
Yeah, I know
we
that.
used
I
it. I
understand
didn't see
that.
that far down,
But-
even the non-public
For-
session was on there. Jennifer already told the people upstairs here at the office that the dates that we have for April. And I believe we're trying to post them on the bulletin board,
Mm-hmm.
which reminds me to check that lock that you talked about.
Yeah.
I'll get down there today.
So I'm assuming it's nothing surprising, it's all Tuesday,
Yes.
9
Yes.
AM here,
Yes.
we don't need to go to the library or anything
No.
for any, okay.
Right.
All right.
Motion to adjourn at 9:08.
10:08.
10:08.